One week in early March 2024, I stayed in Mijas in Andalusia, Spain, with a hired road bike. The weather forecast was perfect. I was on the road to recovery from my spine operation last October. I knew the area well through 2 previous cycling visits, and I had carefully planned out some fantastic routes. So the week was all set up nicely. I had a wander around the beautiful flower-clad streets of Mijas and looked forward to a lovely week of cycling. What could possibly go wrong? Well, let's just say I was dealt a harsh lesson or two in realism.
This is my 3rd and final ride on my week-long stay in Mijas in Andalusia. I had intended to do about 5 or 6 rides. And I'm almost ashamed to say that this is the elevation profile of the ride today, which is basically downhill for ages, onto the coast and then flat along the coast, because I'm taking the bike back to Fast Monkey bike rental in Benalmadena. There's nothing wrong with the bike, there's just something wrong with me. And that is that I've overestimated my level of fitness. If you like, forgetting that I'm just getting over still a serious spine operation, which had kept me off my bike for a long time beforehand and a long time after. And I'm just nowhere near as fit as I thought I was. The problem with these higher bikes, particularly if with your own bike you're used to disc brakes, is on a ride profile like this, my hands will be killing me by the time I get to the bottom because I'm constantly on the brakes. And it almost feels like on some of the steeper hills I wouldn't even be able to stop. But that's probably not the case. Well, unexpected bit of uphill here. Just a little bit up to this corner. And after my experience this week, I'm mighty glad I'm not going where he's come from, and even more so, not going up there. I'm going down there, initially to Fuengirola. Part of the reason I've struggled this week in my efforts to pick the quietest roads, this one here, which I probably should have come down, is the one the buses come down. But let's face it, it's still a quiet road. I chose this one. As you can see over there, lovely steep descent, probably too steep with these brakes. And then I'm down into a dip and then this horrible little bloody climb back up again. So yeah, it's partly self-inflicted that this week's been more difficult than I thought it would be. So if any of you have watched my videos of my epic journey last September, October across France in 14 days, roughly nearly 1,000 miles. There were some long days and some hilly days, so why have I struggled so much this week compared to then? Well, the answer is probably twofold in my opinion. Well, before then, I hadn't had a lot of cycling because of the problem with my back, and I just wasn't able to cycle for months, and that's why I found it difficult. Since then, though, I've had the operation. So on top of barely making it to Nice on that trip, I've then had the operation and then hardly done anything for months. I thought I got back to reasonable fitness, but clearly not so. The second point, and it's the major one really, is this thing of mind over matter. Now, this week I've been on my own, so when I've been feeling crap, There's no one to turn to, there's no one to look round at and think, oh, well, they're feeling crap as well, it's not just me. And, you know, it's just a series of rides, starting at my apartment up in Mijas there, and ending back at the same. And once you've done a couple and you've really struggled, didn't struggle all the time, but certainly towards the end of the last one, I was really, really knackered. It's hard to convince yourself to just go out and do the same again. Why would you? It wasn't enjoyable, or it certainly wasn't as enjoyable as it should have been. I mean, this week I was so fooled by my perceived level of fitness that I even harboured ideas of cycling up to the antennas there. There is a cycle route up there. I didn't manage it 5 years ago when I was here. When I look at the rides I did, I was clearly fitter than I am now. I certainly wasn't going to manage it this week. And I realised that after the first day that I need to forget that idea. So the reason why in some of my motivational videos I talk about things like cycling with other people helps with motivation is exactly true. So in comparison to this week, the France end-to-end trip, when on loads of occasions I felt really awful and if I was on my own probably would have given up. Well, you know what, you're on a route which takes you to the next hotel to start the next day. So if you don't carry on, you haven't got a bed for the night for a start. And secondly, you're with a group of people. And just that alone spurs you on, makes you dig in and just do a bit more. And then you're glad you got to the end. And then of course, if there was a horrible hill that you hated that day, you weren't going to have to do it again the next day because you were moving on further. Whereas here, there's a big horrible hill back to Mijas on every ride I had planned. I couldn't avoid it. And on the second ride I did, going up that hill, I just thought, why would I want to put myself through this again? So it really, really does matter. And that's why I don't feel like I've failed this week. I've just given up to reality. I'm building my fitness. Let's face it, it's mid-March. It's still what you would call early season. And maybe if I'd done this trip in October, say, I would be in a completely different place. So I think I just way overestimated my level of fitness after doing a handful of 50-mile club rides. And there's the clue, club rides again with other people. And nowhere near as hilly as this lot. And here we are. So the extent of my overestimation of my fitness is quite dramatic, really. So this route is one I'd planned. I'd always fancied going to Ronda, and I'd never actually gone there on a previous visit. So I thought, yeah, by the end of the week, I'll have done 5 days in a row and I'll have built up my fitness. I did this similar thing when I did France end to end, and I'll cycle to Ronda. Challenging as hell, but I think I'll be okay. After day one, I knew that was totally out of the question, because rather than doing 5 days in a row, I needed a rest day completely after that. This was the second ride I did, which was a wonderful ride, to be honest. It was just 10 miles too long. I struggled at the end, and as I said earlier, doing that same hill that I already knew was going to be really hard right at the end when I was already tired, really did play with my mind. And it was that evening I gave the decision that I'll have another rest day, then do a gentle ride down to the coast and take the bike back. So the second ride was actually beautiful and wonderful. It included a really funny incident at a restaurant. And then the first ride, not so long, but really tired at the end of that too, because I came across some real unexpected, ridiculously steep hills. And I also got lost a few times, as is often the case with these seaside resorts. There's a nice cycle path along the promenade. It's going to run out eventually, and then I'll get onto the road for the rest of the journey. Benalmadena. Herd of elephants, eh? Never thought I'd say that. This building here is called the Bill. They sometimes have little concerts in there, you know, piano recitals and stuff. And my quick-witted partner, Linda, decided that there was an opportunity for a sentence that had the word bill in it 4 times in a row. So if we bought a ticket for this concert, she could turn around to me and say, "Pay the bill, 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 bill." Benalmadena Beach. Now, if you're in the area and you want to meet somebody and need a landmark, this roundabout is fantastic. The windmill roundabout. Brilliant, really good. To sum up my day then, it's a case of don't be afraid to admit when you've overestimated yourself and had enough. Because I'd had enough. Pride, well, pride comes before a fall, and I didn't want to be doing that. But you know, it's been a good week. Great bike, great routes, just a pity about my fitness. If you want to see the videos that I referred to earlier, subscribe to the channel by clicking on the yellow icon here. And here's a couple of videos for you to look at. One of them is day 1 of my epic trail across France. If you're interested in these, you'll be interested in that, and I hope you are. Thanks for watching. Adios, and I'll see you soon.